My name is John Banks, and I was born here in Montreal. It just never occurred to me to be in the closet. I was what I was. Um, I was born in 1943, so it must have been about 52 when I had my first experience with a man. I was 9, he was 16, so it was much of a man. And we used to do it in between the front door and the inside door, or in the shed in the back. Um, and I know that at that time, in fact, it was considered an illness, a mental illness. And I thought the world was crazy. I was not mentally ill. I was homosexual. That was that. It didn't, never occurred to me that I should feel great shame or whatever. Um, and my parents obviously got to know something was up because they sent me to a psychiatrist. They, I didn't last very long because he was just so Freudian, so stupid. Uh, and when I left, I told him that I was feeling fine, thank you. He went into a tirade. It looked like he needed a psychiatrist more than I did. I went to a bar first time when I was 15 in 1958. Uh, Montreal was a real corrupt city. It was wonderful. But we'd go to the tropical room of the Downbeat Club, and the doorman would say, "No, you can't come in now. We're getting raided. Come back at 11:30." Or it was just natural. We'd often sit across the street at the Chateauneuf Royal Hotel on the steps and watch people go by, and if this was the club door, they would walk and walk back and walk back, and they go in so they wouldn't be seen going in. Well, that was the 50s. And the police raided. Uh, Often enough, newspapers would publish the names and the employment of people arrested in gay bars. I don't know how many people lost their jobs because of that, but many did. There were maybe 3 bars in Montreal, but the ones that downtown, the one was the tropical room of the Downbeat Club. And eventually, and it was only the tropical room that was gay. The Downbeat part, enormous, was straight. But at Langue, the proprietor realized that he was making more money off the gays than anything else. So we went through to the Downbeat, where I don't know how many people could get out, 800 or something like that. And as I said, really corrupt. In a nice way, I mean. A lot of people my age aren't too happy with the freedom that we've acquired because they feel it was so much more fun when it was clandestine. And I don't agree. I don't particularly like the idea of being picked up by the cops. No. And Drapeau, the mayor, did a sort of cleanup for Expo. It wasn't as bad as what he did in '76 for the Olympics, and it caused many places to close down. The gay part of the city was really downtown, Pilotte St. Catherine, and people just got harassed, and it was awful. And that's how the village was born. At one point, there were only 3 bars left in the West End, and they raided them. Trucks, which I consider are Stonewall. There was in the basement, there's a little bar called the Mystique, and on the second floor was a bar called Trucks. And they came in with Tommy guns and had everyone stand against the wall for a couple of hours. You can't have that. You just can't have it. And this happened on a Friday night at around 11. Well, Saturday, we were all ready. We blocked St. Catherine Street from Pilotte to Drummond. We were 2,000 some odd people. We had made signs during the day. And I think that was it. The cops realized that they couldn't keep on doing this. I mean, the Mystique was a bar where the average age was like 50. You know, it was all businessmen after work. And Tommy guns. No, unacceptable. And that pretty much liberated. That was in 77. I went to Vancouver in 64. And as far as I knew, there were no organizations as such here in Montreal. But I went there to Vancouver and there joined a group called ASK, the Association for Social Knowledge. I mean, you've got to get your S's in there. You know, it didn't have the word gay or homosexual or anything. Just ASK. And the first time we had a sort of demonstration, yeah, because the police would haunt Stanley Park and arrest guys there. It felt so liberating to be with a group of people walking down the street. Yeah. And then we got a review together to raise funds for lawyers to defend these guys. Oh, and then I went to San Francisco, where, of course, it was really open. So when I came back to Montreal, I just had to get things going. And the city itself had changed. Expo changed Montreal tremendously. Having all these strange people woke us up to the fact that there is a whole world out there. And that we were part of that world. It started very strangely. There was a little article in the newspaper saying that some gay groups in the United States were celebrating the 10th anniversary of Stonewall. And I thought, what a great idea. Not a demonstration against anything, just a fun thing. And yeah, and so I asked a couple of friends, and we were 52 people. We didn't have a gay flag then, although it was created in 78, and my thing was in 79. I sewed 2 sheets together, made a triangle out of them, and dyed pink. So that was our parade thing. It was fun. It was fun to walk down the street, being proud of being able to do it. And the second year, we were 250 people, and we closed off Duluth Street from Saint-Denis to Saint-Hubert and had a foire. And that was 250 people. That was so much better. After the second year, Paul Keenan from the ADGQ, the Association for the Rights of Gays, asked if they could take it over, and I said, "Oh yeah, please." You know, I still think it's a great thing. I don't think there's a year that I don't get teary-eyed during the parade. I think we have to keep it going. I wouldn't want anything to go backwards. There's something very odd about the public in general. In the United States, slavery was abolished in 1866, I think it was. But it wasn't until 100 years later that something was done about it, that the integrated schools and whatever, you know. 100 years, I don't want to wait another 100 years. It's necessary because, well, you know, we have all sorts of other public events that one could question. But why stop something which is so much fun? Well, she was and still, I think, still would be, one of the best gay magazines that were ever printed. Before that, there was something called Attitude, which was very much like Fugue is today. And I worked there too. And for Sortie, I wrote under various names so that it wouldn't look like it was all the same person. But it was very difficult to get it off the ground. People wouldn't take ads. I mean, we approached all the beer companies, all the breweries. Not one of them would take out an ad. When we closed in 85, the next year, the beer floats in the parade, they were subsidizing everything left and right that was gay, still today. But then it was difficult, even getting it delivered to various magazine stores and things. But it was at least a magazine that had depth. And at the same time, I had two radio stations, CIBL and Radio Centre-Ville, where I did shows once a week on each, and a television show called Côte à Côte that I hosted. I was a Dietrich fan from when I was about 9 years old. Oh, no. When I was 52, 53. I was 10 years old. From watching a movie on television. And I just thought she was the greatest thing on two wheels. Oh, God, she was wonderful. And as her film career was sort of going down, she started doing nightclubs and theaters. And she was coming to Montreal. So I bought tickets for the 8 shows she was going to do in Montreal. And the first night, I had met a German woman called Jo Frohling, who worked for the German newspaper here. And she had known Marlene in Berlin in the 1920s. And so when Marlene came, Jo said, well, come with me and we'll go backstage. And I had brought 3 records, LPs that were out on Marlene. And we went backstage and she introduced us. And I asked her to sign, and she signed 2 of them. And then the third one, I was, oh, no, I don't do that. That's old. It's blah, blah, blah. And she really hated that record. Well, the reason was that it was stuff that they'd taken from movies. So she wasn't making any money out of sales of that record. And I said, well, yeah, okay. You were there. I wasn't. I mean, I wanted to know what it sounded like in 1944 and, 1928. She thought that was sort of okay. So she said, you wait. And so everybody else, and then we started talking, and then she was playing in Vancouver and asked me, I'm playing in Canada, can you be there? Because you know the show inside out. She realized I'd seen every show she'd done here. And so I started working with her. And that was fun. I mean, aside from meeting a lot of celebrities, I was a bartender at that point. And I mean, I would go away for 3 weeks or something because she was doing shows somewhere and come back and, I mean, I'd fill the bar. People wanted to hear about, what was New York like? What was Broadway? I liked it. And also she was very, very wise woman with a wicked sense of humor. In Los Angeles, as in New York, the Broadway opening, it was an invited audience. I mean, all stars were all there. And Brock Hudson came backstage, backstage, and started talking to me. And talked to me for, I don't know, half an hour, a long time. And I didn't realize that he was cruising. I've regretted that ever since. Well. So that's something that Marlene brought me. I wish I'd gone with him. Marlene was right ahead. I mean, she was flagrant. When she arrived in Hollywood, And her first American film, the director Joseph von Sternberg had her appear in Tales, and she sang a man's song, kissed a woman. I mean, how more open can you get? But she also went with men. The newspapers were having a field day. Was she going out with Maurice Chevalier, or was she going out with Gary Cooper? And at the next week, at the opening night of a film, one of DeMille's things, she arrived with Cooper on one arm, Chevalier on the other, and she's wearing a man's suit. The woman was bright. I feel that archives are necessary. If we don't want the past to come and bang us once more, we better be aware of how it was. And we have some very good stuff here. We get young people, students especially, working here as volunteers. And, well, you can see their eyes are opening like, what? You know, it was like that. Yeah, it was like that. It was criminal. And we were hassled by the cops constantly. I don't ever want gays to go through that again, ever. Archives are more than just a memory of things. They're a lesson in things. And God knows, keep the queer parades going.